Why, hello there. Welcome to this video. My name is Leah. I normally do political content like a news and politics show. That's what I started my channel doing, like 2 days a week, news and politics, talking about stuff from a progressive point of view. But recently I made a video going over my first year of HRT because I recently had my 1 year first year of transition and it felt like a super important milestone to me. So I made a YouTube video kind of talking about my first year of HRT and transition, social transition, all that stuff, and how it has been going and how I feel about my progress so far and everything else. Talked about a lot of stuff. And I'll be honest, I'm super surprised with the engagement, the positive response, and just the amount of views that the video has gotten in general. Like the growth that I saw from that single video was more like triple the growth that I've seen over the course of like all my political videos that I've done on my channel. And like I've been doing it twice a week for I think a couple 3 months at this point or something like that. And one video got me more subscribers, more engagement, all that stuff than like pretty much anything else I've done on my channel. So that on top of the fact that I think that representation is pretty important and I am happy to do some representation. I actually post every day on social media on like TikTok, Instagram, and Threads talking about my transition and talking about how I feel about my progress and talking about my day or whatever, just like a simple small post every day, but I try to be consistent about it so that like, I can hopefully inspire some people, give people some confidence and do a little bit of representation. And while I care a lot about news and politics and talking about that stuff, I feel that it's very important. I also think that it's important for me to grow my platform so that I can have an audience that will actually watch the content that I put out and care about it. I do have an audience right now, but it's incredibly small. And I appreciate the people that tune into my videos each week because it's like there's no clout in doing that. Like there's no like benefit. Like you can't really talk to other people about my channel or my content because they're not going to know what you're talking about or who I am at all. And so like if you're watching me, like you're really giving me a chance and I appreciate that a lot. But I want to grow this platform. Like I want to grow my channel. And so what I've decided to do is I'm going to do my news and politics stuff still, like one show a week. I'm going to talk about that stuff, but I'm also going to try to do a video once a week that's like a personal blog or like just about transition stuff in general. And that will hopefully do a little bit of good stuff in the algorithm for me and hopefully will bring more eyes to my channel so that hopefully I can grow my platform and help spread, my political message and what I think is important and stuff like that. So yeah, I just, it's all going to work together. Even though, it's two different styles of content, I hope that that works on my channel. I hope that people tune in for both. Like I hope that if you watch this video about transition stuffs, then you maybe get curious about the politics stuff on my channel as well and tune into some of that, and maybe you like it, maybe it helps inform you, maybe you like my takes and my stances and stuff like that. And if it helps inform someone, it helps someone become a more informed voter, then that makes me incredibly happy. So if I if I'm able to affect positive change with my transition content and my political content, that's kind of the goal here. That's what I would like to see with my stuff. So I know that was a lot of exposition, but like I have not been making transition content on my channel. I just did the one video. And I know that people that are currently subscribed to me are subscribed to me because of the news and politics, except for the people that subbed from that transition video, which is a lot of people. So I just want to try to explain like what my plans are moving forward with the channel and how I view things and why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I feel like that kind of transparency is really important. But to get into it today, we are talking about 5 things that I never saw coming with my transition. Now I have 5 quite different things here to talk about, but we're going to jump straight into it. The first thing that I never saw coming with my transition is actually body hair not bothering me anymore. Now I know that sounds kind of simple or whatever, kind of basic or whatever, but let me explain why this is actually pretty meaningful for me, and why it's so validating, and also why it's something I never saw coming. So I am 30 years old and I started my transition like a year ago. I'm actually 31. I just lied about my age. I'm already doing that, but I'm 30. I'm 30 or whatever. I started my transition like a year ago, and even before my transition, I was like repressed and I didn't even understand myself at all, and I had all these weird feelings towards my body and stuff like that. I hated my body hair. Like my entire life pre-transition, I hated my body hair so much. I would shave like my whole like chest and body, and like I just shaved a lot, and eventually you kind of give up or whatever because you just resign yourself to your fate or whatever. But I hated my body hair for the longest time. My leg hair, my arm hair, all of it. Hated all of it. It gave me incredible dysphoria, and I didn't even realize what dysphoria was, but that's what I felt like. Like it just like literally to me, body hair used to feel like this is weird. I don't know if anyone has ever felt like this before, and I've seen this online a little bit, but like it's almost like weird alien objects coming out of your skin. You know, it's like it's almost like these like little insect thingies like growing out of your skin. It's like an incredibly weird experience to have body hair dysphoria and to feel like the hair shouldn't be attached to your body because it is and it's growing out of you. And it's just a really weird feeling and honestly horrible feeling. So lately I've been really surprised to notice that like my body hair has actually not been bothering me at all. Now this is actually a pretty new thing too, because even early in my transition, like after starting HRT, my body hair definitely bothered me a bunch, but like I have not shaved like my armpits in quite a while, like months at this point. And I have gotten really lazy about shaving my legs and stuff like that. Now I do still shave my arms like every 3 to 4 days or whatever. And yeah, but like overall, my body hair is not bothering me the same way it was before, to the point where like I don't really feel the need to constantly shave and be completely clean shaven. Now, I do want to say that I think HRT has kind of on two fronts has sort of attacked or tackled this issue for me. And I want to sort of explain that because I think it's kind of interesting. First of all, my body hair has changed. Like the way that my body has started producing hair has changed, the texture of it, the length of it, like all of it has changed, and to the point where it's no longer the same as it was, and it just doesn't look the same, and so it doesn't bother me because it doesn't have that very like manly dysphoric kind of effect upon me where it makes me feel like, you know, really masculine or whatever. I don't have that issue anymore. Like my armpit hair doesn't bother me at all. And even I would say that hasn't really changed much in terms of texture and stuff. It has a little bit, but like armpit hair, regardless of what sex you are or whatever hormone profile you have, regardless of any of that, you will have, you know, thick armpit hair. That's just kind of a thing that humans have. But it also doesn't bother me that I have like the thick armpit hair because I'm also Italian. That's part of my heritage. I'm also German. Part of my heritage, hairy people, you know, it's just a thing in my bloodline. So like I'm naturally a very hairy person, but even the parts of me where it's like my leg hair has changed super dramatically to the point where like it's not very thick. It's just, you know, there, but it's not like a big deal. It just doesn't bother me. But I also feel like a huge factor in why it's not bothering me is because of all the other stuff that HRT is doing. Like my body shape is different and so many other things have changed with HRT, with my transition happening and going along to the point where like I don't feel bothered about like one specific part that may be viewed as slightly masculine. Like some people have made fun of me when I post my daily selfies on social media. You know, there are those right-wing trolls or whatever, and they're like, ew, your armpit hair kind of looks kind of manly or whatever. And like, it doesn't even bother me. It doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't make me worry about whether other people think that about me or whatever. Like, I just don't care. Like, I just do not care. And the reason why is because like, I feel really confident in my body, how it looks, how I present, and how people see me. Like I know people see me as a feminine person. They see me as a woman most of the time. And you know, that makes me happy. And so like the occasional person who's really persnickety about it just makes me feel like I'm a woman who's being picked on for having body hair. It doesn't feel like a trans thing anymore. Like it doesn't feel like a dysphoric thing anymore because it just feels like a part of the patriarchy being pushed upon me that I just don't really care about. Like I'm probably going to continue shaving my legs if I wear shorts, but I'm going to do it begrudgingly. And no longer it's like an act of like fighting dysphoria, but now it's just like doing it to conform to societal standards. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting how that stuff shifted over time. And I never saw that coming because like I said, before transition, my body hair bothered me a ton. I hated it so much. So the next thing that I never saw coming, number 2 is going to be wanting to change my name. So Leah is my chosen name, and I actually never saw that coming, to be totally honest, because even after starting my transition, I had no desire to change my name for the longest time. So what happened? What changed? Well, there was actually a specific moment where like I was doing stuff in real life as you do or whatever, like I have a job, and someone was talking to me and they were saying like I had come out at work at that point, like for a few months or whatever, and people were still adjusting. It takes time. People, you know, especially if you know them pre-transition, it can be quite an adjustment. I live in a sort of red state, so it's like, you know, it takes some time for people. They're pretty ignorant around here. So it's like I'm educating people. I'm being vulnerable. I'm like talking to people about stuff and doing advocacy work for myself to try to get people to respect my choices. Well, someone came up to me, someone that was a pretty strong ally to me at the workplace. And they said, you know, I'm trying really hard, but it's a little bit confusing for my brain because my dead name, like reminded them of a masculine person and just kind of gave that connotation or whatever. And so they were specifically having a hard time with the gendering and stuff because they felt like when they said my name, it implied a certain gender or whatever. Now, I think that's kind of silly because my dead name is actually kind of androgynous. And I know there are women who have my dead name and like they're cis women and they have my dead name. It's not that uncommon actually, but there are more men than women that have my dead name. And so I started to think about that and I started to realize that in some small ways, the fact that my name kind of gave people the wrong idea or whatever just made me feel like, I don't know, it made me feel compelled to want to change it. Like, I think the reason I didn't want to change it was because more of like a creature comfort thing where it was like, this is my name. This has been my name for a long time. And I don't have an issue with it. Like, if anything, I thought about maybe just going by a feminized version of my name, a more feminine version of it or whatever. But like, even then, like, I just never really cared too much until someone told me that it was affecting how they viewed me. Now, I'm not saying that you should cave to social pressure and change your name because someone told you that it was making things hard for them, because I realized that that actually is like a very people-pleasing thing that I did. And I realized that that's not necessarily the healthiest choice. But the good thing is that I actually really like my chosen name now. And part of the whole like never saw it coming thing is that I'm really happy that I changed my name. Like, I never thought that I'd want to. I never thought I would care, but I did care. And then I did it. And I find a lot of satisfaction not going by my dead name, because it sort of like marks a point in my life where it's like the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. It's very symbolic and stuff like that. And I feel like hearing my dead name at this point is a reminder of a part of my life or a time in my life that I really don't want to spend too much time focused on. I want to live in the present. I want to live in this new life. I want to live as I am now, and I want to experience life as I am now. I don't want to be constantly reminded of my past and stuff. So having the new name very symbolically represents to me that like I'm moving forward as my true self and, you know, just like living life or whatever. So yeah, that was one thing that I definitely never saw coming, was wanting to change my name. The next thing is, this is kind of a funny thing. I sort of did this for comedic effect, but also it's very true. One thing I never saw coming with transition is getting worse at literally everything. And no, this is not a misogynistic thing. This is not me saying that like women are just like worse at stuff or whatever. It's literally just me. Well, maybe other trans people have this experience as well. I know that my best friend has had this experience as well. And just in case you didn't know, because I talked about it in my last video about my 1 year of transition, but like my best friend is also transgender. So we have some shared experiences to talk about and stuff like that in real life. And it's been amazing to have someone like that in my real life to talk to about stuff. But yeah, both of us have noticed that we've gotten worse at literally everything, and I think I know why. Also, I apologize if I keep messing with my hair. I had an undercut like prior to transition, and I've been growing it out for like a year now, and it's at this stage like my hair's super curly, but my hair loves to do this thing where it like wraps itself around me or whatever. And it's like it's trying to give me a hug, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. So I'm constantly trying to brush it aside or brush it away. It feels like it's trying to wrap around my neck, and it's just, I hate it so much. And eventually it'll get long enough where it's heavy enough that it'll like pull away from my face and neck and whatever. But it's pretty annoying right now. But anyway, the reason why getting worse at stuff happened is because prior to transition, I was in a constant state of fight or flight. Life felt very bizarre, and there was a constant cognitive dissonance, like almost like a constant sense of like danger, or like one thing I like to say, it's kind of like Spidey sense, you know, from Spider-Man or whatever, when they like Spider-Man senses danger or senses something is wrong, its Spidey senses are tingling. It's like an instinctual thing or whatever. I had that literally all the time. It was never ending. I had a constant sense that there was something going on, something was wrong, something felt off. And as awful as that is, and I'm sure as awful as that sounds, the one upside to it is that I was in a constant state of hyper focus and hyper attentiveness, and I was constantly like hyper aware of my existence. Now, this compounds with the fact that I have PTSD, so like that's already an issue with PTSD, but like specifically with pre-transition stuff, like I've noticed now that I'm on HRT, I'm not in this constant fight or flight state anymore. I feel relaxed at times, which is something that's incredible for me to experience. Like, I know that there have been a couple moments already in my transition where I've experienced joy on a level that I did not really think was possible. And it kind of made me realize that pre-transition, I kind of hated my life, like a lot. Like I really did. I had a hard time experiencing and enjoying joy. But now that I'm not in a constant fight or flight state, now that I'm not constantly hyper aware and hyper vigilant or whatever, I drop things. I stumble, I trip, I make stupid mistakes, I forget things that I normally wouldn't forget in the past or whatever. Like small details slip by me. I, forget appointments or whatever. I've had to like really focus on like using my calendar app more. I've had to make more notes. I've had to be like more vigilant because I make more mistakes. It's a little bit frustrating at times. I'm not going to lie. It never makes me want to go back before HRT. Like I never want to be back in that state, but it sort of did make me realize that was almost like a little superpower that I had back then. And the way I like to view it is it's like being hyper vigilant and being hyper aware and all that stuff kept me safe, kept me alive to reach this point where I can now finally live in peace and joy and self-acceptance and stuff like that. So I try to view my past self as having been like the protector of this body while I was sort of hiding internally, protected by layers of masking and false identity and all this other stuff that shed away eventually so that I could, have full possession of myself and live in fullness in myself. Okay, that got a little deep right at the end there, but we're going to jump on to the next one. The next thing I never saw coming with my transition is actually just like liking guys, like thinking guys are hot and stuff. So this one is going to take a little bit of explaining. Before transition, I only dated women, and there was a very, very distinct reason for that. And I actually talked about this in my last transition video, but one of the biggest experiences I had that helped me realize that I was trans was that I had intense gender envy to the point where like I confused it with attraction. Like I for the longest time thought that like I was mostly attracted to feminine individuals. Like I consider myself pan because I did actually have queer experiences and I did think some guys were attractive, but I was incredibly picky about the guys that I saw, about like whether I thought they were attractive or not, because I didn't even really know what attraction was. I thought that this intense yearning, this envy that I was feeling, this gender envy was the attraction. And so I thought, oh, I must be way more attracted to women or feminine men or whatever than I am to, the masculine side of things, regardless of gender. But as it turns out, that was completely wrong. It's the opposite. I actually find that masculine individuals are incredibly hot on both genders, whatever gender. I don't care if you are masculine presenting or have dominant masculine traits or whatever, then I find that super hot. It doesn't matter what gender you are at all to me. It's super hot. And it's funny because I no longer really find feminine individuals all that attractive anymore. And I think it's literally just because the gender envy has been nullified. And without that intense yearning, I'm realizing that my attraction for masculine individuals is actually way more intense than my attraction for feminine individuals. So I do consider myself pan still. And I do see some baddies on, Instagram or whatever, and I'm like, damn, they hot or whatever. But like, I actually don't think I'm going to be dating women anymore. I'm probably going to be dating men or masculine women or whatever. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. And I still consider myself pan because I don't know, I'm not really particularly really all that picky. I care more about personality and whether I click with someone, and the connection, the actual relationship and connection that I have with someone is way more important than their genitalia or their gender or how they present or whatever. But I do find myself with those initial gut reactions that I have to people where like I see some guys now and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I'm sorry if I sound a little weird. I'm still recovering from being sick and I feel like my voice is getting weirdly hoarse or something like that. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the last point here, the last thing that I never saw coming with transition. And this is literally just me wanting to get fit or jacked or like whatever. Like I want to be kind of like a muscle mommy. Now, don't take that too seriously. Like I don't know exactly how strong my dedication is going to be, but I used to be quite in shape or whatever pre-transition. That was something I cared about, was staying in shape or staying fit or whatever. And I was never like really into like bodybuilding or muscle building or anything like that because I never wanted to look very masculine. I never wanted, surprise, to look like those jacked dudes or whatever. And so like I never really forced it. I never tried to do it just to like fit in or anything. I know that's like a common trans experience for people, is that like they try to be a jacked guy because they think performing masculinity will help them with the dysphoria and stuff like that, but it makes it worse or whatever. I never had that experience. As a matter of fact, I hated working out, I hated exercise, and I only ever did exercise as a vehicle to stay in shape for things that I do enjoy, which is like hiking. I do this thing called flow arts, which is something no one knows about, which is like basically playing with toys, but like I do this thing called rope dart. I do this thing called dragon staff. I juggle. It's kind of like circus sideshow stuff. Like you can look it up if you want or whatever. It also has like a fire aspect to it, that like performance and stuff like that. You can do it with fire, and I've done that a bunch and stuff like that. But that's besides the point. The point is that like I always worked out to stay in shape so that I could do those things that I enjoyed, but I never wanted to be like jacked or anything. That has changed. Like I want to get really fit. Like I want to have a super fit body, and it's something I'm starting to realize that I care about a lot. Now this one actually kind of sucks a little bit because I'm the heaviest I've ever been, and I'm the most out of shape I've ever been in my entire life, and I can feel it. Like I actually worked out today for the first time in an incredibly long time, and I got very winded very fast. I got very physically tired very fast, and I'm feeling it. Like I'm feeling how out of shape I am. It's pretty bad. But what's really weird is that I have the desire in the first place to get like jacked. Like I'm seeing these like girls online that are out there like doing tons of squats, and their butts look amazing, and like they just have a physique that I think is pretty awesome. Like I love seeing girls that have like the pretty strong looking arms, like they're really toned and stuff like that. It's all very appealing to me. And what's really cool about it and why it changed for me is because of HRT. Because HRT has changed my body. I talked about this earlier. My body shape, the way that fat has laid on my body, the way that muscle develops on my body is entirely different now. And so because my body will develop in a strong direction, but like in a feminine direction, is exciting to me. Like one thing I noticed with my workout today is that like the arm stuff was incredibly challenging. Like I tried to do push-ups, and I could not do more than like 3 normal push-ups, which is something I never experienced pre-transition. Even when I was kind of out of shape, I could always pump out like at least 15 or 20 push-ups, normal push-ups. And now I can't do even like 3 normal push-ups. Like the loss in upper body strength is insane. But also my legs are actually stronger than they were pre-transition. And this is something that I've seen before. It's like women have pretty strong lower bodies. Their hips and their legs and stuff can be pretty strong, oftentimes stronger than men. And now obviously it depends, because like men can train a lot and then be super jacked and be really strong, of course, and so can women. So like whatever, but like just in general, there's something about estrogen. I don't even really understand the science behind this too much, but essentially like the lower body doesn't weaken as much. And for me, even I feel like it's kind of stronger than it used to be. So yeah, I was really surprised like doing squats and stuff like that like how strong my legs felt. Because I'm so out of shape, like my fitness goals for now are honestly just to like work out 3-4 times a week, do like a 30-minute exercise 3 to 4 times a week, and try to get myself more in shape. Because I'm the kind of person where like I go hard on things. Like I like to really get intense about stuff, and oftentimes I end up burning out or like overdoing things. And so like what I want to try to do is approach working out from a way where it's like I felt like after doing a 30-minute workout, I felt winded, I felt exhausted, but I felt like I should do more. Like really, a 30-minute workout is going to just wipe you out. Like are you seriously that weak? Like you should do more and prove that you can power through it or whatever. But I'm glad I didn't do that. Like I'm glad I didn't do that, because I would probably feel like crap right now. I already feel tuckered. I already feel physically, I feel the strain in my body and stuff like that. And also like, I don't want to injure myself. Like I really don't want to hurt myself, because I'm weaker than I really ever have been in my life before. And that makes me more injury prone than I ever have been in my life before. So yeah, for now, I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to just do like, 3 times a week or whatever, like I said. And I'm just going to try to get in better shape so that I don't die doing a 30-minute workout. And that is everything that I wanted to talk about in this video today. Those are all the bullet points that I had written down, the 5 things that I never saw coming in my transition. And now I want to say that like the reason why I decided to talk about this, the reason why I'm making this video is because like I feel like expectations are like the devil. Like I really don't think that expectations in general in life are a good thing. And like this is a good example of that, because these 5 things are good things about my transition that have happened to me. But well, except I guess getting worse at stuff or whatever. But in a way, that's a good thing, because I'm not like constantly hyper aware or hyper focused or hyper vigilant or whatever. But like, like these good things that happened that I never saw coming, if I was really strong in my expectations, like if I had really, really built up expectations of transition, I might not have been open to these new experiences or whatever in my transition that have led me to more self-acceptance and more joy and, authenticity. Like in general, people are really bad at predicting the future and predicting things. Like 10 years ago, I would not have ever predicted that I would be in the position that I'm in right now, the person that I am right now. It would blow my mind if you showed me a picture of me today to my 10 years ago self, to when I was 20 or whatever. Would literally blow my mind. I just would not believe you. But being open to new experiences and self-exploration and introspection and stuff like that has allowed me to be open to the experiences that have gotten me to the point that I'm at. So I guess really I'm making this video as sort of like a word of caution. If you're early on in your transition, or even if you're late in your transition, having expectations on what you really want to happen and all sorts of, I mean, there's many reasons to avoid something like that. Like with HRT, your mileage may vary. Everyone has a different response, to their body responds differently to HRT. It's just like you have no idea where you're going to end up after 2, 3, 4, 5 years of HRT. You just don't know. So that's why I never recommend using like those face app things or whatever that like they like modify your face or like Photoshop your face or whatever as a filter, and it like it gives you like a feminine presenting face or whatever, because like that stuff is often very unrealistic. It's not based off of like real human proportions or whatever. It's based off of like all sorts of nonsense, and I just don't think that like is a healthy thing to expect. Heck, I think we could take this into a deeper conversation about like how like even if you watch like anime or things like that can really warp your perception of what a female or a male body is supposed to look like. Like if you watch Baki, then you probably have a skewed expectation of what the male body is supposed to look like. Or if you watch literally any anime ever, you're probably going to have a skewed perception of what the feminine body is supposed to look like. And it's really important to check those expectations, because like they can cause you to pursue things. They can cause you to want surgery. They can cause you to want many things or chase down things that maybe won't work out well for you, or maybe you just don't actually want outside of these like expectations that are coming to you from experiences you've had in the past that have built up an expectation of like what you should do. But yeah, I definitely think that there will be things in the future that I will never see coming with my transition or with just life in general, and I think that it's important that I stay open and I have an open mind, keep my expectations as vague and as nebulous and as lighthearted as possible. But all right, that's the whole video. That's everything I wanted to talk about today, transition related stuff. I hope you enjoyed the conversation that I had. I hope that you enjoy the things that I talked about. They got something out of it. Maybe you related to aspects of it. Maybe you felt like some of it was insightful. I don't know. Either way, you should subscribe. You should comment down below and let me know some things that you never saw coming with your transition, or maybe how this video affected your thoughts about your transition or whatever. And I just wanted to say, my next video is going to be after the election. The election is happening right now. Like it's going on. Like tomorrow is election day. So I already voted. I really encourage that you vote. I don't even care what your political stances are in terms of anything. Just like, I think everyone should vote. I think people should vote. And yeah, if you have not made a plan to vote, then you should definitely do that, especially if you are worried about the future of our country in terms of a second Trump presidency, something that I am incredibly fearful about. I think that it's important that we have high turnout for this election, because I think if we have high turnout, I think Donald Trump will lose. Anyway, my next video will be going over the results of the election, and I'm sure by the next 3 or 4 days or so, we will know who is slated to, like, who's the winner, like who we're gonna know. But all right, that's it from me. I appreciate you so much for watching if you watched, and yeah, I will be back with another one soon. Until then, do me a tiny little favor and drink yourself some water.